Hi everyone, LazyFire here. Welcome back to Battlefield 4 Multiplayer. And today, if you'll bear with me, we're going to go through two phases of a game mode called Rush. Now, Rush is a game mode that was introduced in the Bad Company series. It's more or less defend the base, attack the base, with two different teams trying to get through two different objectives. And here I am trying to get through stuff that isn't loaded yet. There's some issues with Battlefield 4 in terms of loading everything that's on the map. If you get into some maps, you'll actually end up not being able to move really well on vehicles because the world has not loaded fully yet. Anyways, Rush is an interesting game mode. It's kind of not very good in Battlefield 4, unfortunately. In Battlefield 3, it was pretty well done because Battlefield 3 originally started development as a PC exclusive and then moved to sharing console stuff. So there was kind of an impetus to change how the game was designed, and the maps worked a little bit better because of it. In Battlefield 4, it was definitely designed for the PC for the most part because, hey, two of the new consoles are going to be able to do the exact same stuff that a PC can do. And so the maps are a bit more closed off, and it's, almost got this guy. It's a bit more difficult to plan a rush maps around some of the layouts in the PC games. Anyways, now that I've got that little rant over, the idea behind Rush is that one team is the attackers. You can see in the bottom left there, they have the red marker, the red count that's going down in the bar. That is how many tickets they have. As defenders, we have infinite tickets, but we have these 2 points to defend, the A and B points there. If the enemy team is able to take out those 2 points within the time limit, or before their tickets go out, I should say, the map will move and it'll open up a new area. They will occupy our old base, and we'll have to defend a different set of points. If they don't do that, the match ends and we go into the next round. We're going to play a round as the defenders, as we're doing now, and a round as the attackers. You'll see how this kind of changes things. Now, once they've armed a point, as they've done over there at B, we can actually go over and hold E, or the whatever your activation button is, and disable the point. Now, every one of them, unlike in Obliteration, when we saw that, in Obliteration, everybody doesn't have a bomb. You have to have the single bomb that's on the map and take it to the point you need to take it to, right? In this mode, everyone technically has a bomb. They can go and arm any point. Actually, EOD bots, if you have an EOD bot, you can drive it right up to the point and use your torch on it to arm it. So be careful of EOD bots in this mode. And right here, I just save a man from being destroyed. Now, one of the unfair things about this map is that the defenders have a mobile AA gun, which is probably not a very good thing because the other team does have a helicopter. This makes it really hard to utilize that little bird because there's not a lot of natural cover on this first point. On the other points, as we'll see later on when we're attacking, there are plenty of areas where you can kind of duck behind a hill or a mountain or something like that and get away from the AA for a moment and repair. In this particular area, it's not very good. What the little bird driver ends or fly pilot ends up doing for most of this video, and this part of the video at least, is flying almost as close to as on top of the mobile AA as he can and as high as he can, hoping for people to spawn in. He's not using it to clear out defenders or anything like that. This is probably smart. It probably keeps him alive a lot longer than he could have been alive most of the time, because it means that, well, the mobile AA can't hit him. Watch this. That I cannot believe I hit that kill. That is a pretty good C4. But he was pretty close to dead anyways, so I was pretty happy about that. I felt good. But just watch how fast this guy goes down. The mobile AA becomes kind of an issue for the enemy team. It doesn't help them that we have somebody who is really, really good in the mobile AA. How good? Well, look at the score at the end of this video, and you'll understand how good he is about this. It boggles the mind to look at that score at the end. So as you can see here, this is basically Conquest Rules spawn. You have two areas you can spawn on, your base and your friends. So just make sure you have some friends around. Otherwise, you're going to be taking vehicles up here. There are a few rush maps that don't involve vehicles at all. There are some that involve very few vehicles. This is one of those maps where there's quite a few vehicles for a rush map. And this is a 32 player server, so most of the vehicles will be occupied a lot of the time. the enemy team or the attackers get a couple tanks, they get the helicopter, and they get I think at least one MRAP and a couple dirt bikes. So there's a few options for them there to get up here. This is a China Rising map, so it's got dirt bikes in it instead of ATVs, which I think is totally okay. I wish dirt bikes were in just the vanilla maps as well instead of the ATVs. I like those a lot better. That's just my opinion, though. As you can see, as the squad leader, I can actually designate points to defend or attack. I can tell you to attack certain people or vehicles as well, but that's generally not very helpful. But you'll see I'll get some points and squad points for making people defend this point here. Not a bad deal if you can get them, and that's the easiest way to get those squad points and level up your classes, as it were. And I really haven't talked much about that, but at the bottom left you have that squad, the squad perk thing. So for each one of those, you get as you perform squad actions, saving squad members, telling them to attack points, and them following it, you raise that bar up a little bit, and you get different abilities from it. So it's always worth your while if you're the squad leader to point out things to attack or defend. This is a little bit of a lull in the action. Rush is generally a pretty busy game mode, but it is also one of the game modes that's very, very easy to enforce a spawn camp on. And this is partially because of the nature of the game mode. Like I said before, you can only spawn in 2 points: your eventual, or I should say your uncap, the area you start in, and on your teammates. There's no real other area for you to start in, and because the maps are pretty narrow and they're to the point, so when you'll see it when I end up on the attacking team. When I look at my map, there's not a lot of area for me to kind of traverse outside of this area between the water and the hills. Of course, you can go into the water and you can use a boat to get over here, but there's not a lot of space for you to kind of sneak around tanks and other people. So, man, I don't know why I didn't just blow up that tank instead of attacking that recon, but I did it. So there's not a lot of space for you to kind of maneuver around people like there is on a lot of the conquest maps. So it becomes kind of a slaughter at times. Breaking into these areas where the enemy team is, where they're defending from, that's not too hard. People do it all the time, but really pushing forward and getting there is kind of difficult. So I can understand some of the frustration the other team went through. You'll see at the end of this video, one of the guys on the other team just absolutely had to rage quit after this, and I can understand that. But at the end of the day, Rush is a pretty fun mode when it works. When it doesn't work, like for this team right now, it's pretty broken. It's just a complete slaughter. Now, the thing about defending is, though, if the other team builds up some sort of momentum, it can be difficult to defend as well. If they get enough people up here and they take out a point, and your team's a little scattered, it can be very difficult to compare to that and say, okay, I'm going to just break them from this. It's not as easy as it sounds. So you just have to be smart and play it smart. Oh boy, this is stupid. We're about to see some really stupid shit right here. This is my fault too. I decided to go take out these snipers. I figure they're on this hill. They're not going to be able to do much against me. Watch this. Hi. And then this guy. Just. Yeah. And these guys, I can't tell you if snipers help or hurt your team in this mode. I don't think they really help that much because maybe if you're defending they help a little bit, but if you're attacking, they're not going to be a lot of help. You need those people to be aggressive about their attacks. That's a Mav I'm shooting at there. It's not a person. That Mav can make life difficult because it does serve as a motion sensor. It can tag people. So if you're trying to sneak into this base, the enemy team having a Mav up or a couple motion sensors or something like that out in the field can be a little dangerous for you. Right here, I warned ChronoJam that there was a tank coming in. Watch how fast. Yep, he just absolutely destroyed that thing almost immediately. That mobile AA in the hands of the right person is just an absolute force. It's dangerous to watch. And there are going to be people who come in here and try to get Chrono with Jihad Jeep and just can't work it. It actually hits a tank instead. Just really hilarious. There it goes. But you can see this is not really fun. There's not a lot happening here. I haven't shot at anyone in a while. I think the last people I shot at were those snipers up there. So yeah, this is kind of what happens with this. It's Rush is really in waves. It's not so much a constant flow of people as it's waves of people as vehicles get better or vehicles heal up or anything like that, or as people get ready to attack or put their forces together and say, okay, we're gonna line up on this guy and we're gonna go in. As those things happen, there's kind of just waves of people instead of a big unified fight. And that is part of, I think, partially due to the fact that there are only 32 people total allowed in most Rush games. Now, you can have 64 player Rush. I would not suggest it. I've been part of that before. It's not really pretty. Let's go get this guy. My favorite part about this death is that watch how this happens. He looked at me and knew I was where I was, and he gets kind of stuck on this rock, which absolutely screws him. Rocks and such in this game can really fuck your day because if they kind of get under your tread in the right way, they can turn your tank around without you wanting it to be turned around, which is something I didn't think happened a lot in Battlefield 3, but it happens a ton in this game every time I get to a tank actually. But that's pretty much it for this round. Four people left, and remember, you can't drain tickets like you can in Conquest, so you have to go by the number of people you kill. So all we can do here is just destroy anyone we can and move on. So we had to push up pretty far here. This is actually kind of annoying that you had to go this far up. This does remind me, and right there, goodbye. That's the last one. So yeah, that's the end of this first round. You can see it was not really fair at all. However, we have another attacker round, which is usually where people redeem themselves for their poor attacker rounds, is when they defend. Do you learn from what people did to you the last time around? Does your team figure out how to work as a team, or do they keep kind of doing whatever they want to do? Well, let's watch this and figure out how that goes. Now, my score, the 12 and 7 here, does not carry over to the next round. This is actually a completely different, technically, map. I just didn't bother stop recording because I knew what was coming and just cut it into this video, so it's okay. I should warn you, there's going to be some aggressive cutting in this video, and it might not be the nicest because I do spend a lot of time, spoilers, in a Little Bird in this next video. And because of that, you end up seeing me like hiding behind cliffs and popping flares and stuff for extended periods of time. So, yeah, there's some cutting about midway through the video to the end of it. Just be wary of that fact and we'll be okay. It's not too bad. Anyways, we're going to take this rib boat right up to the point here. I'm going to do something that I really like doing in Battlefield, and that is using the Jesus, I almost called it the Geomod engine. Using the Frostbite engine to my advantage here, especially with regards to destroyable structures. So one of the really cool things about this is that you can do what I'm about to do here. For the glory of Allah, I have just unlocked the MCOM. You can now plant it from outside the building. Great form of cover. It makes it a little bit more difficult for them to stop you from doing that by opening up that area. And just overall, smart move. Also, I'm going to try to Jihad Jeep some people here. It doesn't go well. Rush is interesting for Jihad Jeeps because generally your tanks that you're going to be attacking are not going to really be moving out of a very protected area. So you end up, well, doing what I do here and getting shot a lot, getting killed, being blown up. I don't believe this guy wasn't auto-aiming. That was ridiculous. Yeah, he just straight up murdered me in one shot there. That was kind of impressive. So I wanted revenge on that guy. Not gonna lie. You know, everyone is subject to some of the more base instincts in this game, and so I, of course, am motivated by revenge at times. Worth mentioning on the server, and this is the Goon-owned server that just kind of rotates through some of the smaller game modes, is that for whatever reason, Rush seems to have instant vehicle respawns. So you'll see a lot of instances where someone just jumps into a tank that just exploded a few seconds ago. That's totally normal. That's actually how the server's set up. So just expect to see some of that every now and again. And right there, we've already destroyed our first objective. That was like the second one we've even planted. This is not going well for the defending team. And right there, we just got the other one. Not very difficult. Watch this failed Jihad Jeep. Stupid staircase. I still blew it up. I'm terrible at this game. So, what have we learned today? Well, don't let me ride the Jihad Jeeps into stairs. If that had worked like most normal stairs in this game, actually, it would have gone like straight over it. And I realize now that because of some of the, I wouldn't say aggressive, but some of the balance that this game takes, I ended up on a squad by myself. So I joined these two guys. Like I said before, having squads and having squad mates is very important in this game mode because it's one of the two ways you can spawn. And I didn't want to perpetually spawn back at base. I wanted to be able to spawn in the action if I wanted to and be able to help the team out. Being able to spawn on your teammates is a huge thing in this game mode, especially because, being able to put people towards the different contested points is kind of a major, major importance here. And down I go. Yeah. Oh well. So much for that. I was really proud of that drive-by I got. That was pretty cool. So we're now driving a fully loaded vehicle. That seems like it's just a points pinata. I wanted to get out of there. Like I said, spawning on squads is very important, but recognizing when your squad's in a bad spot is even more important. And right here, I'm just making sure the snipers are not back out in this hill here. I was worried about that after CIS admin got me there. So just being cautious is always an important point in Rush. You don't want to run into somebody and just get, murked when your team might need you to spawn on a couple seconds. So our RJS there, he's still dead. He could spawn on me, he does not. It's probably a smart move because the other guy's way closer to the point. But here we go. We have a pretty good look into this base here. I do really like part of the Rush experience, which is kind of sneaking into some areas, just going around the outside edges of the map and kind of surreptitiously getting through here, killing some people, and then getting towards the point. That's really a fun little thing that happens a lot more in Rush than it does in, say, Conquest or something like that, where there's a lot more space to work with and people are more they're looking all over the place instead of in one spot. Right there, I don't know what happened right there. He should have been dead by any and all metrics. Oh well, not a huge deal at the end of the day. My team's armed the objective once again. Now we just have to defend it. Now, the interesting thing is that in Battlefield 3, if you started disarming an objective or arming an objective at the last second, it would actually extend the timer for the round. Or it would hold off on destroying the game until that point had either been exploded or defused. In Battlefield 4, it doesn't do that, which I thought was kind of interesting, but at the same time kind of cheap. I really feel like having that extension, so you're at 0 tickets, but you have the objective planted, can the remaining teammates keep the thing going, was actually a really good idea. It just meant that people would be able to kind of get that last desperate grasp in there and pull out a win or eke out the next points just by being tenacious. And it's not really possible in Battlefield 4, and it's kind of sad, but there's, I'm sure, balance issues towards that end. I just can't figure out what they would be that are that important to change it. So this next point is an interesting point to go after, especially on this map. It's all about getting forward here, and it's a long, long slog to the next set of points. And you'll see, it's not pretty either. There's a couple bridges, there's a little village and everything like that, and they still have tanks and everything. Now, one of the things to remember about Rush in Battlefield 4 and as well as Battlefield 3, I should mention, is that if you have vehicles from one point, you're actually able to keep those vehicles alive, and new vehicles will spawn for the second point. It's very strange, especially for the defenders. So later on in this video, I will get into Little Bird, like I said, that one there flying around, and I will be able to keep it alive long enough that somebody else will get another Little Bird from the next set of spawn points or the next set of bases. So there will be a point where our team has two Little Birds in the air. It's not insurmountable, especially on a map with a mobile AA, but if you know how to play it, that can really be an effective strategy. There's no transport chopper on this map, which I think would actually work a lot better for most rush maps than a Little Bird. But it's nice split the difference between the attack helicopter and the transport chopper. And actually, the transport chopper with its upgraded miniguns, it might actually be kind of a terror. Right here, I can't quite see where this guy sniping me is shooting me from, so I get down under this bridge. Being careful and being smart are not mutually exclusive, but in this case, it kind of was. My teammates who went down this straight and narrow path here from our spawn to the point are getting slaughtered, and they really did not notice me. Just that one sniper who didn't say anything about me being here. Now watch what happens because of that. I don't know why I tried this. I was trying to shoot the guy who was near the tank. It only caused more problems for me because people suddenly realized someone could be down here. Me and this other guy, though, we've kind of gone around the outside of the map. We're just clearing out some of these guys who are in the far back here. Just get him. There he goes. And then, watch this. That is the great part about claymores in this game. Well, besides the fact that I don't remember how to pull that out. Because claymores shoot out these wires now, you can totally tell when there's claymores planted in the area you're going to. And because of that, I was able to take this, or use, me and this other guy were able to take this point. Kind of important. Now, taking one point or taking, anything in this does not indicate that you've already won or automatically won anything. It just means that you were able to take a point that wasn't being defended very well. However, you would think this. Watch this. This is really dumb on my part. I was able to get this guy, but down I go. And then he revives me, my teammate, in front of two dudes who wanted to shoot me to death. That was bad. I wasn't really a huge fan of that one. So yeah, you'd think that being able to take a point means that basically you've won. It's not really that way, because if you take a point, the other team doesn't automatically just say, "Okay, we quit." You can have both of them. No, they really fight for that second one. So sometimes it's a lot better. There's points are sometimes easier or harder to get depending on which one you're going after. It might be in a difficult area to access from the land or something like that, or whatever it may be. Or it's easier to defend that point because it's on a hill or something, right? If you take the harder one first, a lot of the time it makes it easier to take the other one despite the fact that there's more enemy presence and attention on it. And that means that your team can concentrate on the easier point after you take the hard one. So going back there and taking that point made it a little bit easier for my team to kind of be viable on this point. And you'll see us get really close on the next couple sets of points because on this map, everything is pretty far away from each other. A lot of rush maps don't give you a lot of space between one area and the next. This one gives you a ton of space, and that can make it very, very difficult to kind of progress, I guess you could say, between the points. And this is the Little Bird section. I do fly this for quite a while, actually, till the next, for the end of the game, really. So just watch out for that. There's going to be some cuts because they do have a mobile AA and they do end up with a lot of guys with stingers. I'm never going to claim to be the greatest Little Bird pilot in the world, but I can definitely be serviceable when I have to be. Right here, somebody was parachuting into our spawn area. That can be a problem. In most Battlefield games, the spawn areas are pretty well protected, most game modes even. However, in Rush and Obliteration, there are some issues. Right here, I am caught out in the middle of a field. I can't quite get to cover in time, and down I go. Not really, though. I only took one hit. I get out here where I'm pretty safe, and we just cut for a few minutes back to where I can go and attack some people. But yes, Rush is one of those game modes where the enemy team can get into your spawn area and they can steal your vehicles. It's not totally uncommon to see. As a matter of fact, there's a point where the guy who went, 34 and 0 in the last game actually ends up going picking up their mobile AA and just going to town with it. So, be wary if you're the defending team or the attacking team that people are not getting behind you. It can be very dangerous for a number of reasons. Here's a point. The 25mm cannon, despite the fact that it's an explosive, cannot destroy claymores and mines and such. So just be wary of that. It's one of those things that really bugs me. There are certain things that are actually explosive weapons in this game that cannot trigger other explosives, which is always bizarre, isn't it? You can see all the mines and everything coming out of there. It's bad. Now, I popped flares there and I still got hit. I don't know quite what hit me, but it was something. So once again, just coming out here and launching what I can at these guys. If you're able to do some work on these guys and give your tanks and other ground vehicles a chance to move up while you dodge away from everything that wants to kill you, that's much better than if you're just going to fly over the point and hope and pray that people are going to spawn on you. As a matter of fact, if people were spawning on me, I probably would be moving towards the point a lot more often. But as it stands, no one was spawning on me. And at the very last point on this map, uh, I cut it out, but I do make the case that people should spawn on me and I will fly them over the point. And here I get a little bit brave. This is actually a point where the enemy team's mobile anti-aircraft gun was in our hands, so I didn't feel too bad about doing this. What you're seeing me get hit with here is the heavy machine gun from a tank. That's why I was losing as much power as I was there. Give it a few minutes. I'm still not at full health, but I don't really worry about that too much right now. I pop my flares and get the hell out of there. Now, I'm actually within their range for their missile launchers, so I have to be pretty careful here. If I duck back out a bit more, I can get out of that range and I'll be okay. But that means that my flares, the second I pop flares means I have to run away, and I actually start preemptively doing that. Once I get a kill, I run off. I don't worry about following it up or hovering or anything like that. I just run away as soon as I can. Yep, right here, you can see, trying to get behind a hill. Now, getting behind a hill right there, for example, doesn't always mean that the missile that is coming at you will not hit you. It sometimes will, and it can be very bad. Now we're on our last set of points here. I realized I had never really played on this map in Rush. I realized where I was, and the fact that I can fly over things and over and around things meant that I actually had a pretty good chance of hitting this. So once I heal up here, I actually go and take a look. I don't need to heal all the way up, but I do need a little bit more health. 12 and 6 is not bad for me and a little bird that hasn't died yet. But look at this. I have full view to this point, both points from there. So I, of course, take a couple shots, get the hell back, and this is the point where I actually type out a message to my team in the chat, letting them know that, hey, if you spawn on me, I can drop you on these points. I have a pretty good view to them. So here we go. I had people in there for the first time in a while, and I was able to just drop them on the point and fly off. Now, my job here is really to stay alive. If I'm able to stay up, it means that my teammates can keep spawning on me, we can keep dropping on these points. Any support I provide after that is superfluous and really just gravy on top of everything else. So, tagging vehicles, shooting guys who happen to be out here, that's all very helpful right now. Being a mobile spawn point is actually probably the bigger point of Rush helicopters than anything else. You can, of course, affect a pretty good spawn lock with Rush helicopters if you know what you're doing. But, yeah, this is actually probably what I need to do with them. Now, right here, they're bringing the Stingers out hardcore. So I have to be a little bit more careful than I was a few seconds ago. Just killing guys and taking names here. I decided to be a little bit more aggressive there and go ahead and tank a shot like that. so I could take out one of the stinger guys who's hiding in those hills. There'll be problems for the people who go after the point as well, so I figure, hey, why not just try to be helpful here? Right here, I barely got my flares back before I got shot, but here we go. We're on that last point, just trying to clear out some stuff and fly away. The flare time has been reduced to 20 seconds, which is a godsend for anyone who's played this game for an extended period of time. Those guys will just pop stingers at you all day, every day. And you can see here, here's the second little bird is on my left there. Like I said, you can pick up a second point if you're, or a second vehicle like that if you keep your helicopters alive for a bit. So it's actually really worth your while to keep those helicopters going and keep things in the air. A second little bird can be very helpful, especially with a point as distant as this one. And right there, I almost got killed by a tank. No thanks. Getting targeted again. Just fly away, pop flares. Still got hit. I don't know what that was. I think maybe someone got me with an SRAW. I didn't lose that much health. I wonder if it went right through the flares, which is not uncommon in this game. The active protection system, for example, is completely bugged, so be very wary of that. But here we go. We're taking the point and done. And that's Rush. It's a really fun game mode when it works. When it doesn't work, it's really unfun, as you saw in the first area. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. And, yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.